Clemens Schoeller, Business Development Manager Global at AutoStore. Welcome to ConcreteX, our webcast. AutoStore positions itself as the cube storage pioneer and also the world's leading ASRS solution provider. Tell me about yourself and how you got involved with AutoStore.
Yeah, I can do that. That's quite a funny story. Actually, I was mainly in consulting, warehouse, automation consulting, process consulting, and supply chain consulting in general. And then I did a little bit of integration implementation for different solution providers and integrators, and went back to consulting for a reason. Then I said I'm never going to get back to any producer or supplier of ASRS technology, but then AutoStore came my way. And yeah, now I'm 3.5 years with AutoStore. I've been employment number below 300, and we are 1,000 by now.
Tell me about the development of AutoStore, because it's a company with a history of 25 years. And the automated warehouses is something that's relatively new. How has that happened, that transition?
Yeah, the story is quite nice. We have been an electronics components distributor for many, many years, well established in Scandinavia. And out of a small fisher village on a fjord. And that business grew. And in Norway, you can't build that high for warehouses. And so every new warehouse we opened, as back then Hatteland Group, was full quite imminent. And yeah, we had to deal with that. And then the technical chief actually invented AutoStore for ourselves. So that started in 1996. And since then, he improved it a lot. It has become a product. In 2004, it was started to be commercialized outside of the Hatteland Group and became AutoStore that we know today. And through time, we grew. We've been sold to different owners in the meantime. Now we are a publicly traded company, and we got a lot of growth and development also through these investors investing in us, and to get where we are. And we are now at 1,200 operational systems around the world and more than 55,000 robots that operate in warehouses at many different clients.
I was just going to ask you to give me the facts and figures behind AutoStore, but you've already jumped the gun and responded. You mentioned about the number of robots. One of the things that I've heard about AutoStore is that to have 10 robots working, you only need the power of, or what a vacuum cleaner would require. Is this true?
That is true, and that's quite proud for us. Although we started as solving a problem within a warehouse, and especially space constraints, we actually are the right product for what the world needs, or at least on an environmental perspective we need. So we don't only save energy while being energy efficient, we also save thickness of floor slabs. That's how we connect a little bit, and also building height. And our main claim, and we see that again and again with clients, is you cut your space needed to 1/4 and just compact your storage system, and then you have another 75% capacity growth, while you have an endless almost endless performance growth potential, because the AutoStore is so flexible. You can basically just scale your performance on the same footprint to very, very strong competitive cases. And that's what we've been doing, and that is actually something that we're really proud of.
That leads well into my next question, which is, how have the needs of clients changed? And you've mentioned one thing, which is the scalability of AutoStore, where you need much less space for a warehouse rather than where it was in the past, or what people needed. But is that the main issue, or what other factors?
So if you look at the warehouse market and where legacy automation products come from, it's basically always a shelf. And the shelf is operated somehow from left, from right, from underneath. But you have these shelves, and you have to build shelves. And if you add hands, you have to build more shelves. But within these shelves, you have a limited space that actually you can add performance. And with the AutoStore, we have two factors that don't necessarily need to correlate. So we have capacity of storage, and then we have performance. And you can have a small system and have very big performance on there, and talking like you have 1,000 square meters, but you still have 2,000, 4,000 bin presentations, so performance on there. But you can have a huge system that only has capacity. So every client will find the product they will need. And if your business model changes, you can order robots and we will deliver them in weeks. So your system that you buy is for your business today. You don't need to block liquid capital, but because you only do what you need now, and if you need to change, the AutoStore will change. And that is, no other technology can do that the way we can do it. And that is something that customers need, especially today with all the crises we had, like COVID, the wars that are going on at the moment. It's exactly what you need. You don't know how your business will look like tomorrow. If we have another lockdown, then your e-com boost. If your shops will run, then your omni-channel business needs to run. And it's completely different business. So that's what we fulfill.
And that is also how AutoStore is such a good partner for its clients, because you go with them.
Exactly. We go with them, we go with their needs. So also our development plan is tightly connected to our clients. And then we go in different markets where we follow our clients. And from what we see, that is exactly where we correlate with Primekss strategy.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you can talk a little bit about this cooperation with Primekss, and in which ways has the collaboration with Primekss been beneficial to AutoStore?
Well, for me in general, when I was new to AutoStore, there was a little bit the reception in the market that the floor we need, especially the flatness, and we don't like too many joints in the floor. Clients had the idea that was a struggle to create. And also the building companies tend to say that is hard for us because they didn't want to produce a high quality product. But obviously the demands have changed. So I got into contact with Brett Medway from Primekss first, and the service mentality and the quickness in response was just out of the world. I loved it. And he actually explained to me how floors should be and how Primekss thinks floors. So we started to match our product with the Primekss product and found out it's just the standard. Our needs are the standard product that Primekss will supply. And since then, we've connected multiple clients that have been told this narrative by their construction companies, that there are partners out there like Primekss in special who will solve your problems. It's a one-stop shop. They are quick to respond, and your team is very, very good in what they do and the quality they provide. So that matches pretty well.
How does AutoStore ensure the seamless integration of its automated storage and retrieval systems within various warehouse layouts, and also maybe in cases where it's not a new warehouse but an existing warehouse in which you're going into?
So that is one of our key benefits. We can use spaces that has been created a long time ago. So you don't have to build new. You don't need to embody more carbon dioxide. So our layouting is very, very much to the needs of the building. We can do unsquare walls. We can build around pillars. We can build on concrete mezzanines. We can do, or even metal mezzanines. We can do all that, but that all requires some foundation. The foundation is always the floor slab. And every client must ask the question, where do we start and what do we want to be in the end? And retrofitting a floor is possible, and Primekss will also do that. But when you take over a building or you change the setup, you will work with it. It starts with the floor. And to be ready to fulfill any automation technology, you will have increased requirements on the floor. And that is how we see it, and that's where we start. And if your floor is straight and your floor is good, then you can put anything in there. And we would like that to be an AutoStore. But yeah, you never know what technology suits you best.
How does AutoStore plan to further innovate? What should we expect? What's coming?
So haters and competitors will say, we haven't innovated since we actually brought that product to market, but that is further from wrong than everything else. So our strategy is to improve ourselves incrementally. So it's small steps to make us better. And what we see in the market is general demand for being closer to urban areas or in urban areas. And we will see, or what we do see already is shorter service level agreements, so customers want to order and be delivered within the next hours and all that. And this capacity and also the throughput, you will need automation also in cities. And our general growth or idea for the future is to have a full line of a DC, distribution center outside the city, that takes the majority of the stock and does the majority of the performance. And then we go local, more local into the city, so maybe in a supermarket or an urban hub, down to a small self-vending system that is fully operated by AutoStore. We will see that, we will see bigger DCs, and for all of that, we will supply solutions. We will make that better, but we're not the only ones seeing that. So there's numerous good technologies out there that all have their own case somehow. We will see which one will be there 10 years later, but all of them need a basis, a foundation. And I'm pretty sure that Primekss is a driving partner for us in the future, and others will see that the same.
I certainly hope that that's true, and we see the partnership with AutoStore also to be incredibly positive. It's good to see and work with companies that have similar values also in how they address clients and build the relationships, and that's one of the things that we certainly value with AutoStore. What would you say? Do you know the statistics of how many warehouses have you automated in the past year?
In the past year, so we always say we see about half of the market, and that is very, very good for a technology. Our win rates are also very, very good. And we will grow that in the next 3 years to probably see 80%, 90% of the market. And we do that through partners. We do that through our integrators or distributors. We have 22 of those around the world. And they're actually the one integrating our technologies with the clients. But then also talking about these partners, so we have our, what we call the partners, the distributors, and then we have cooperating alliances, like for example, with Primekss. And for us, it's very important that we share the same visions. And the vision of being very high performing, being very close to the clients, having a high service standard, but also in the vision of future generations, energy consumption, CO2 footprint, something that we share very much in common through our products. And as Brad, my main partner at Primekss, always said, there is 53% of the carbon footprint is embodied in buildings, and it's just 47% that is operational. And we both drive these numbers down a lot, and I think that is a value that we should look into the future and also communicate better in the market, because that's the financial advantage is one point, but the footprint is the second.
Mm-hmm. I have two more questions for you. The first being, we've talked about the good qualities, the good things, but what about what can create problems for a potential client who wants an automated warehouse? What are the things that they need to take into account so that that warehouse is successful and gives them the results that they want?
So from our side, from the automation side, it is the same like with the building. So if you try to hold to too much things of the past, you will not be successful with the project or the new site. So if you think about your neighbor doing your concrete slab, you will not have something that is suitable for future technologies. Well, if your neighbor is really good, that might be different. But well, it is changing. We are getting more specialists, specialists like you for flooring, specialists like us for technologies, and the demand on building and thinking and preparing is just so much larger than it needed to be before. And again, in the end, it comes to what will my business look like in a few years, and doing it right prepares you much better for whatever will happen or can happen. So yeah, I see the main struggle is not being prepared and sticking to old habits, and yeah, that's where I stand.
So if someone is considering, say in the next year, that they want to have an automated warehouse, of course they would get in touch with you, but what would be the process that they should go through? What should they be prepared to? What questions will they be asked of, and what might be a time frame?
So the time frame, if you have everything set, we can deliver an AutoStore almost everywhere around the world within weeks. So we say if it's really, really urgent and you kind of commit before you sign the contract, in some cases we can deliver within 8 weeks from our factory in Poland or in Thailand. But to be there, your mindset has to be prepared way earlier. So what does my building look like? What do I need to get out there, and what will be my growth? What kind of auxiliary technologies do I need? Because the AutoStore is just one part of your whole process and solution. So all of that needs to be prepared. Again, it starts with the building and the floor. And from there you go up, and then if your storage grows, you kind of need fire protection at a certain point because the values get too high that you want to protect, and then you need more ramps for trucks to dock to, and all of that must be a concept from the beginning, from the floor to the running system, from the roof to your outbound process.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say, what's your guess? When will we have a majority of automated warehouses as opposed to more traditional?
That's a really good question. I've been thinking about that for quite a while, and the answer is tough. Because the market is very, very, well, it's kind of not constant. So you have these clear cases of automation, and that is, for example, a company that produces one product really good, like a hidden champion, for example, that produces that one product maybe in 40 varieties, but it will be that product. That will always be 100% automation. And then you will have, for example, a 3PL, logistics provider, and that will have a contract for a year or two. And that's hard to automate in that case, because usually our ROIs start to begin at like 1.7 to 2.5, 3 years. And it's hard to get a contract today for this time. So we will, for a very long time, see non-automated storages. And I think they're probably gonna be around 40-50% in labor cost intensive markets, and are probably gonna be 70-60% in labor lower labor cost markets. But then we see several service level agreements, as we talked about before, and property costs or in cities, in urban areas around the world don't differ too much depending on what you're looking for. So there are going to be cases solely ruled by what the customer demands for reaction time is. So yeah, to sum that up, maybe somewhere around 60 to 70% max will be automated in the future. But we're not going to get to 100% anytime, anywhen.
Well, there's time to grow. As you said, there's always something better, right?
Exactly.
Maybe you know off the top of your head, how many projects have we done together, AutoStore and Primekss?
I looked that up, and I need to look it up again. So what we know of is that we have at least 12 projects, and they add up to a total of 180,000 square meters. When I say at least 12 projects, yeah, sometimes the property owner changes and there are Primekss floors in there, and then a second customer comes in and builds on there, and we just find out that the floor is really perfect. Yeah, we have only been working 1.5 years together, knowing of each other for 1.5 years, so I expect that to grow a lot. And yeah, that's I think it's quite a big number, especially in square meters. And that's where the complexity lies. Yeah, it's easier to build 100 square meters flat than it is to build 80,000 square meters or 20,000 or 50,000.
Yes, and to perfection, or as close as possible to perfection, I agree.
That's true.
Everyone's interested in the bottom dollar. How much is this going to cost me in the short term and the long term? How would you say choosing working with AutoStore or with Primekss will affect that? Well,
so cost reduction can vary on different levels. So we have space optimization, so you can grow within your own building. An ROI for that would be pretty quick. If you build new, you have performance optimization, but you also have a huge saving on floor requirements in means of weight, and then also a means of height, because we don't need that much height. So actually the big saving is for an AutoStore is in the building, and then we are very competitive in the normal investment costs to our competitors as well. So in total, an AutoStore project on a big scale for a big distribution center can be at 40%, 45% compared to our competitive technology. Altogether, you could say the cost savings for an AutoStore compared to one of our competitors' technology is basically around 40% on the whole project.
And also, one of the things that I found to be quite surprising is that, of course, if you have such a automated system, you have less need for electricity, you have less need for heating, because you don't have people, you have robots. Tell me about how that has changed.
Yeah. So one of our claims is install the AutoStore, start the robots, and save the bill on heating and light, and that is a big difference in the buildings that we work in, because in the end everything on our system is standard powered plug. You don't need any high currents, any big trafo systems outside your building. And that's the difference to our competitors. You won't see if the light is on or the heating is on, because the power they require in general is so high that there's not that big difference at all. But with us, you can run our system on the same footprint of PV system on your roof, and there you will see the difference in energy consumption for heating and lighting, and that is quite a difference. Yeah. So just imagine a roof and the same size as the AutoStore underneath it, and it's fully autark. Buy some batteries for night time or for dark times, and then you'll be completely off the grid.
And Clemens, you know that one of the things where Primekss tries to excel at, and I also would like to say does excel at, is research and development and investing in innovation and technologies. And one of the things that Primekss has done quite recently is a full-scale test where, as we said, we built it and we will break it. And I understand you're one of the people who were watching that live or saw the video afterwards. And tell me, what were your impressions?
Sadly, I was, while you were doing it in customer meetings, but I was following it on WhatsApp. I was being held up to date with by the Primekss team, and I did even pass my own bet on when it will, when the surface will break. So I was pretty much active in that, and it was incredible because I knew from what I learned that it would be much stronger, but in the end it came out so much more strong than I anticipated it. That was really cool to follow. Thank you for that action, and thank you for keeping me on that account.
Well, as I've said to many, that some believe that concrete is boring, but I find concrete to be interesting and even sexy because you see the power of it and it's impressive. You know, when you compare traditional concrete with Primekss, and the strength of Primekss was almost no one guessed it right. No one believed, not that no one believed, but no one guessed that the power that it would take to break the Primekss concrete would be so large.
You yourself didn't, I think, because you were running out of ballast to put on the floor. And that was the greatest story of that. You ran out of weights to break your own content.
Yes, yes, it's very true. I was there on site for almost 12 hours, and I saw the process, and I did stay until it broke, and we really did. We built it to break it, but it wasn't easy. So.
And with concrete and sexiness, it's quite a good point. I think normal concrete is not sexy, as well as old legacy automation is not sexy. But to innovate, to make things better, to make things future-proof, and actually build something new and see how it grows and how much better it is, how much advantage it has, that is an emotional thing, and that is where it becomes sexy.
You're right. And with that, I'll say stay tuned for our next episode.